Good morning. You must be new to town, aren't you? I'd recognize a face like yours if I'd seen it before. Quite the charmer, aren't you? Well, what brings you to my humble shop today? I see. So Poppy sent you. I should have guessed. That girl is always sending folk my way. Half the time, they're not even sure what it is they're looking for before they walk through those doors. Well, do you have any idea why she might have sent you? Fancy that. You've been making your way around with one of Leah's maps, have you? No wonder you looked so lost. Leah's a dear friend, but map making is not one of her many talents. I find that her maps tend to look a bit more like abstract paintings than something you'd want to follow. How about you settle down and today we'll find you the perfect map. Perfect map for you. Something slightly more practical that will get you where you need to go. Perfect. Well then, take a seat. I'm going to need to ask you a few questions just to start. Just a few questions to start. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to be using my trusty quill. This comes from a folklet of a rare and mythical creature whose feathers are used for enchantments. This quill helps me map down paths, streams, trails. To start, very easy. What's your name? How do you spell that? Okay. Beautiful name. I'm Mary, by the way. I don't remember if I told you or introduced myself when you first walked in. I tend to have a habit to forget. Okay, next question. Where did you come from? Where were you born? What areas of the forest have you traversed? And what precisely has got you coming here to Hollowfield of all places? Really? So you're saying you woke up in the woods with no memory of how you got there? Or any memory of what you were doing beforehand? That's unusual. Let me see then. tell me more. I see. So you think you were bitten? Right. On your forearm. And do you know what by? No. Okay. No recollection of bite origin. That's okay. Have you been experiencing any other symptoms by chance? Fevers, sweats, feeling of fur growing from any part of your body, perhaps? Right. So no fur, that's good. Okay. But toothache, I see. And what teeth are those that you've been feeling that in? I see. Okay. Front teeth. And you've been cold. Well, it is nearing winter, so that's not too unusual. But I'll write it down anyway. Okay, and you're hungry. Again, not too unusual. I see. But no food is tempting you. Right. Okay, that one's a bit more alarming, but I'm sure that's fine. Well, in that case, while potentially unrelated to what map I might choose for you, I do suggest that, have you already seen the healer? It might be worth visiting Beatrice. Beatrice, the barber surgeon. She's more than just your average hairdresser. She has quite the talent for sussing out any peculiar ailments that might need tending to. She tends to all of the teeth in the town and makes a fine dentist. So, after we set you up with a map, I'll show you where to find her, and I'll write you a letter that you can give to her explaining what your ailments are. Well then, let's continue with our questions. Do you have ever seen a location? Are you wanting to explore just the vicinity of the town, particular shops and townsfolk? Or are you planning on traversing past the tree lines, into the forests, planning on seeing the sights, other towns in the region, do a little bit of exploring in the ruins by the forest's edge? I see. That's right. Okay. And are you planning on doing that very soon, or taking your time a little bit? So, would you be looking for shortcuts then, or just any path that might take you where you need to go? Right. Okay. Is there anything in particular you would want to be looking out for on your journey? Any herbs, animals, creatures, rocks or minerals, fungi, anything like that. Anything like that that you might want me to keep in mind when I'm telling you the paths to take. I see. And you made your way through the forest to get to here, didn't you? Right. So you have a little bit of an idea of how it's laid out. Very slightly. Okay. Do you have any particular fears that I should keep in mind of? Lots of people are particularly scared of the dark, in which case I'd lead them on the brighter trails around the darker parts of the forest. Others have fears of large bodies of water, in which case I'd steer them away from the lakes and rivers. Or otherwise, you might be perfectly fine and not need any special instructions. Do any of those seem to affect you too much? Right. Okay. That's perfectly fine. Okay. And last question. Is there anywhere that you know of you'd want me to avoid? I see. Right. Okay. Well then, I think that should be plenty of questions. Let me move this out the way, and I will grab our first map. Now, I have maps of all kinds here, and these just aren't your regular run-of-the-mill kind of maps either. These, for the most part, are enchanted maps. Every map tells you something different. Some update paths in real time. Others will tell you exactly where danger lurks. This one, for instance, is a bit special. This map is perfect if you're hoping to navigate around town without much trouble. If you're looking for a shortcut, this map will trace a line over the fastest route when you simply whisper where you want to go. For example, barber shop. There you go. You can see that it's picked up that we are here at the Cartographer, but directly outside the barber shop. It knows every alleyway, street, and even little paths folks rarely use. It's the quickest way around and might just save you some time if you're ever in a hurry. And trust me, if you're running errands for Poppy, it might come in handy. This is a good map to take advantage of. The Ashburn River runs past, with the bridge leading towards the inn. Across from the inn we have Poppy's, where you've been, obviously. Me at the Cartographer, the tailor just below, blacksmith, barber, hard to read upside down, the apothecary, tea house, market square, library, greenhouse, tavern, stable, healer's cottage, creature shop. And, it's telling you at the top that this is Hollowfield, should you ever get too confused. Now, one special thing about this one is that it is enchanted to update in real time. As things change around town, so does the map. It'll even pick up on foot traffic, mark where market stalls have moved to, and if you're looking closely enough, you might catch the scent of fresh bread coming from poppies at the bakery. When the carnival arrives later in the season, it'll practically explode with colour. It's as close as you'll get to seeing the town breathe right in front of you. Do you think that will be of any use to you? Perfect. In that case, I'll just leave this to the side for you, and you can take a look at what other maps I have to offer in the meantime. Now, if your plans take you beyond the town borders, this map might be just for you. A simple map showcasing Hollowfield and the surrounds. This is us here in Hollowfield. You can see the redwoods surround the town. Paths cut through, particularly making its way down to Stone Bridge, which crosses over towards Northgate on the other side. Further down past the arches you have Crescent Harbour, the trading hub of the region. Crescent Harbour is known for its import and export trade, due to its proximity to the ocean and Grandmere Lake, which borders on the three other towns of the region. Up past Northgate, you have Madmore Forests, and of course Ashbourne River, which borders along Hollowfield and carries around Stonebridge, connecting all three of the towns, including Hollowfield. Somewhere deep in the Redwood forests is known to be a castle, although not many people have seen it and come back to tell the tale. The Archers is a good challenge for anyone who is trying to show off their endurance, but its difficult terrain makes it hard to pass. Grandmere Lake is a good place to catch a ship towards the ocean and to Crescent Harbour's trading docks, but you're unlikely to find any sailor who is willing to take their boat through the Ashbourne River due to its rocky bottom and shallow veins. It makes a dangerous journey. I believe this map would come in handy for any task you have to complete beyond the Hollowfield borders. I think this one would do you very good. Shall I put that aside for you as well? Perfect. Okay then, what is next? If you're planning on going back through the forests, this map, although very different from my last two, is a fantastic way to navigate the woods. This map updates in real time and navigates wherever it is that you are. Once you step foot into the Redwood forest or the Madmore forest, the entire map will change, updating to your perimeter, showing you the radius around you and what lies there. This map will guide you through the safest paths in the forest, highlighting things like fox dens, or even the spots under the oldest willow trees where the ground gets a bit softer. I warn you, however, to always stick to the paths. There are places on here that even I wouldn't dare put down. The forests are a dangerous place, full of creatures of all kinds. Nymphs, harpies, dryads, fae folk, even the occasional giant, so I've heard, although they are quite elusive for something so big. Of course, it's safe to say you already know that, don't you? As long as you don't go howling to the full moon, I think you'll be safe. Well then, I think there are a few more things I can show you. Let's see. This one is a bit special. It's the only one of its kind. A map of the ancient ruins beyond the valley. The castle hidden in the depths of Redwood Forest. This simply drawn upon the recollection of people from a very long time ago. No one has gone here recently and lived to tell the tale, so if you do decide to venture out this far, I trust you'll heed my warning and be very, very careful. Now, the best thing about this map is, should you ever get lost or need to find your way out of the woods very quickly, simply hold the map up to the light at sunset, and it will glow with whatever path will get you out of the woods quickest. But it only works at sunset, so don't stay longer in the woods than you need to. Okay. The last map that might come in handy for you is one that I ironically am currently working on, so it won't be ready for a few more days, but it is a map of the entire region. You can see it is much larger than the rest of my maps. It shows everything beyond the Hollowfield. Not only this continent, but the isles around it too. It still needs to come into its colour a bit. So, if you would like, you could even stay a bit longer, sit with me while I paint. There's just a little bit more to do. I say that with jest, as you can see it's still very blank. There's a series of different isles and places in the continent that I've yet to be or hear much about, but I do know it exists. You can see this half I'm very well versed in. However, once the land begins to fade into that's where I lose my bearings a bit. I've been trying to go off of some old illustrations of different villages around. This one, for example, doesn't tell me much. It simply tells me that it's a forested area, and if you look very, very closely, you can see that the houses appear to be made of wood, which gives me the idea that the terrain must be warm enough to not worry about wood rot. On the other hand, this illustration tells me that whatever this is goes through a river. It looks quite like Hollowfield, but still very different. Anywho, piecing things together with illustrations isn't my favourite task, but it can keep the mind occupied. Should you ever travel anywhere and find something new that I have not marked on my maps, please do return and tell me. I like to keep everything as up to date as possible in order to make sure that everybody can find their way best they can. Would you like to stay a little while I continue my painting? Perfect. I'm still on trees, and they'll take a little while, but feel free to grab a paintbrush if you'd like. I'll accept the help. Besides tradesmen, Crescent Harbour is also particularly good for its magic stores, such as the wand makers, potion brewers, and other magical shops, or its more mundane shops, such as the candy store, a particular favourite of Bobby down at the bakery, who fancies their bonbons, the mail post office hub, headquarters of Dragon Link Coast, the florist, perfumery, bookstore, and many more of your more ordinary shops. Stonebridge, on the other hand, is particularly small. One of the smallest towns in all of the region. Stonebridge is used mostly as a bridge to get from one location to another. Stonebridge connects the continent, making Hollowfield, Crescent Harbour, and the Madmore Forest interconnected, and giving a straightforward path between the lot of them. If you're wanting to gather information on anything that might pertain to this region itself, Stonebridge is a great place to go for gossip. being such a small town, it doesn't have that much to offer in terms of wares, but people do trade when they go through it. So, when you do travel through, you'll often find that they have a very vast variety of wares to offer. Now, over here, we have Northgate. Northgate is a mining community. They trade in mostly gemstones, coal, and precious metals. They are surrounded by a plethora of farms, mills, and other of your typical trade locations. But it is most well populated by the mining community, who take great care of the mountain ranges behind it and the gold that it's known to hold. Northgate is perfect for if you are ever looking for a very talented metalsmith, or simply wanting a place where artistic talent is particularly well thought of. Hollowfield, of course, is where we are now. It's quite your typical sized town. We have a lot to offer here, but it is quite isolated from the rest of the region. While Stonebridge, Crescent Harbour, and Northgate all have a very closely interwoven travel route, Hollowfield is surrounded by the dangerous Redwood forest and the creatures within, making it rare for travelers to successfully make the journey. Now, once you wander deeper into the Redwoods, that's where things begin to get a little bit blurry. There are plenty of texts telling of a castle surrounded by ruins deep within the woods. Although, as I mentioned earlier, very, very few people have ever gone and returned to tell the tale. Whether or not that's because they never made it, or because they found something and didn't feel like it was valuable information to bring back, I'll never know. But the castle and the surrounding ruins remain a vast secret. One that I am desperate to find out more about. However, I feel that my place here in Hollowfield is important enough not to risk myself simply Should you ever find yourself drawn towards the castle, do be careful. It doesn't take kindly to strangers. But I would so love to hear about what it does offer. I believe Nadia at the library has plenty more information about it, should you be so interested in learning more. Now, once you leave the mainland, you have Thin Cliff Isle, a rocky, dead terrain that very few even bother to venture to. Not any human inhabits it, although plenty of sirens and other monstrous creatures inhabit it. Should you ever find yourself unlucky enough to be drawn to Fang Cliff Isle, I think it would be wise to watch your back. Further down, you have Evelyn Jungle, which connects to Nautica. As you get lower on the map, that's when the heat begins to take over. Nautica and Evelyn Jungle are known to be very humid and hot. Lots of tropical creatures dwell there, and the humans that live there live in harmony with a series of dwarves and rock gnomes that used to claim it as their territory. The isle next to Nautica is called Arminion. It too is a very hot and humid island. However, instead of being run by humans, it has an entirely dwarfish population. Arminion is known for its particularly meticulous metal smithing and fine jewelry crafts. However, as you begin to venture past the Madmore Forest, that's where I have yet to discover myself. I don't know much what lies beyond there, apart from the vague pattern of the region. However, I do know that there lie stories that deep within the Madmore Forest is a very large, very ancient tree, where the Fae folk call their home. Fae folk are very unlike the typical stories that you'd hear about them. They're dangerous tricksters that should never be trusted. If you ever find yourself in the Fae world, important you never, ever, ever touch their food, or else you'll find yourself trapped there for all eternity. Well then, I think that's quite enough, don't you? Let me just write you that letter to Beatrice, and then you can take your maps and be off. And then let me seal it. Okay, that's all yours to take with. Now, you come back before you leave and grab this map from me. Don't forget. But in the meantime, I'm sure that those will get you through. Let me know if you find anything new on your travels, and I'll add them to my collection. Now, for now,